companies like us.
All right. Thank you, Felix, very much. And yeah, I think it's an important question, and we also planning to a deep dive session with your company, with your colleague Christian, to explore this further. But I think with this, thank you very much for your pitch, and I hand over to Simon and the next speaker.
Thank you very much.
And also, yeah, thank you very much, Felix, for your talk. We now go up the value stream a little bit. We were talking about PowerCo before, right? And about cell manufacturing. And I want to come to the almost very first step, not the very first, but one of the first, and that is the battery coating. And want to introduce Clemens Disch to you, who's a marketing and sales manager at WERNER MATHIS. So on this expedition, I've seen many pilot lines, and if you look closely, you see many of their lines being installed there. And Clemens, I think without further ado, it's time for you to explain what you do exactly and what the competence is you deliver in this field. So the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Simon. Mathis is a small company, privately owned in Switzerland. We are making R&D pilot scale machines, sometimes small megawatt machines. And obviously, coating and drying is one very important part of the whole process. However, the step before, it's the mixing of the slurry. If it's anode or cathode, it's a very important part of the battery, and also a very important part for our machinery, so we can coat correctly the anode and a cathode. So therefore, the mixing is extremely important. We all know we have dry mix, wet mix. We can have batch mix. We can have extrusion mix. We got Bühler for the extrusion mixing. We got Eirich for the batch mixing, and others. But also, what is also very important is how to store the material before you mix it, under which conditions you do that. So that's we see it very often, that if the slurry mix is not really well, then we cannot coat correctly, and at the far end of the line of the battery, then the battery performance is not what is being expected and being calculated. So mixing, very, very important. I don't know, we'll go into more details on that one. We all know mixing is a key part of the battery performance. Then how do we coat? Coating is one of the, it's an art, I call it. Coating is an art. We can have a slot die. We can have a knife over roll coating. We have the pump card, where we have the vessel with the slurry inside. We can put nitrogen on it. We have the snake pump, and then some filters, making sure that we only get the particles through which are specified, and then it goes to the coating head as a single layer coating or double layer coating. In this case, we're working with TSE Troller, one of the most famous slot die manufacturers worldwide. And then obviously we need to control the coat weight, wet and dry. We're using in this case very often an X-ray unit from Scantech, which is then getting the signals back to us. So we have a closed loop system in order to make sure that the coat weight of wet or later on dry is achieved correctly. There are some measurements we can put in. For example, heavy edge we can install. We also can install A to B side alignment. So when you do the second side coating, that the second side is aligned with the A side. It's all possible. We also can install laser marking inspection systems. It's just to name a few of what is possible on the coating lines. And then the other thing is drying. Obviously, drying is also a very key part of the process. We can't dry too quickly. We shouldn't dry too fast. We shouldn't dry too slow. We need to bring in correct heat into the anode or cathode. We can use the convection. We can use IR, laser. Also a combination of the both, or 3 or 4 is also possible, in order just to have a cost-effective drying process, because we all know the convection drying process can be expensive depending where you are in the world and what kind of electrical rates you have to pay for the process or for the plant. So just to summarize, yes, coating is a art. The mixing is also a very, very important part of it. You need to have the right chef koch for it. And if you have the right people working together with the right equipment, you get out what you want at the end, a well-performed battery.
Okay, Clemens, thank you very much for your pitch. Is there a question from the audience? Before I cannot hold myself and ask you questions. You know, the critical thing right now is to really scale up the process. Maybe you can elaborate and inform our audience quickly about where are the challenges in this coating? I mean, the coating is done for producing the electrode, right? So it has an electrochemical function. Where do you see the challenges that may hinder European companies to really succeed and be quick in entering the market at the moment? If you would name one or two examples.
That's a very, very good question. And I think one of those questions I did answer in our interview at the battery show in Stuttgart. The fine detail now is what we need. You know, we need to tweak many different screws to get to where we are, and we need to work together. And at the moment, everybody's trying to cook their own soup, and I think this has to stop. And we need to make one big soup in Europe to survive, and to move on quickly to overtake. No, overtake is not the right word. To raise up the race for cell manufacturing in Europe.
Maybe to shine light on how you can support this. So you're manufacturing the coating lines on pilot scale level, like up to megawatt hour level, you said. So how would Mathis and your competences intertwine there, or how would you act in this ecosystem and supporting this? Can you explain that in a couple of sentences?
But first of all, our machines are module built, and we're always looking on the process. What does the process need? And if it means that we need to modify one of our modules, we will do so. We are not sort of saying, okay, this is what we have. No, we're looking on the process, and we're working with the client to understand what they really need in order to perform out their product.
Okay, and then therewith, on the pilot scale, make the experience, do the testing, do the iteration, the optimization, collecting parameters that then prepare them for building this on scale.
Yes, that's we prepare it, or we prepare all the recipes, and then it goes to the gigafactory to perform.